Hey, welcome to Therapy by Gabby. I'm Gabby. I'm a licensed professional counselor practicing in the state of Wisconsin, and I talk about things for therapists, therapy goers, and the mental health experience in general. Today is going to be part 2 of my step-by-step guide to building your therapy private practice. If you haven't already, go on over to my channel and check out part 1. Watch that all the way through and then swing on back to finish out this video. All right, I'm just going to jump right back in where I left off, and we are at the part of the step-by-step guide to building your therapy private practice of deciding, am I going to take insurance or am I going to be a private pay practice? Now, I want you to just pause and notice how that lands for you when I say that, because I know for a lot of people this is a really difficult topic and it can be very controversial in the therapy field. There are pros and cons to both taking insurance and not taking insurance and being a private pay practice only. This really comes down to you assessing what your authentic needs, expectations, desires, values are, and how you want to make this a sustainable career for yourself. And that's going to look different to everybody. And ultimately, I'm pro do what works for you and do what's going to keep you in this field. If you do decide that you want to accept insurance in your practice, I would recommend getting started on applying to be on the insurance panel right away, because it can take months in order for them to review and accept your application, and sometimes there can be bumps along the road if they even accept you on their panel. It is very possible that you apply to be on the panel and they reject you. Whether or not you decide to take insurance or be a private pay practice only, you're going to need to figure out what you want your session rate to be. It's really important that you don't just choose any random number or think about what other people are charging or what clients will be okay with paying. You really want to figure out, like, how much is my business going to cost me to run? How much do I need to pay my bills? How much do I need in order to live a healthy and effective life for myself, for my family? There are so many things to consider when it comes to deciding what you want your session rate to be, and I would encourage you to really take some intentional time to think about it and plug in those numbers. So one resource that can be really helpful is Tiffany McLean's fee calculator. I've linked that in the PDF guide. It's something that I used and referenced, and I also listened to her podcast and all of the therapists who went on the podcast and shared their experience of what it was like for them to get off of insurance or decide not to take insurance, etc. And just hearing their experiences was really helpful for me and very affirming. Know that you have options. If you're struggling with the idea of taking insurance or being private pay only, but worrying about not being accessible to clients, which we know is a reality if you are a private pay practice, most likely there will be clients who cannot afford you and you will not be accessible to them. So you can hold reduced fee spots, you can do pro bono spots, you can do a pay what you can model. You have options. Get creative and figure out what works for you. I think the most important part is that whatever you choose, be consistent. I've shared on some of my other platforms like TikTok before that I struggle with chronic fatigue. And so when I thought about the idea of taking insurance, considering my chronic fatigue and then considering my experience working at a group practice where I ran into a lot of issues with not getting paid for some of the sessions that I did, I knew that taking insurance felt incredibly overwhelming and risky. And there is such thing as clawbacks, which can happen, meaning that at any point in time, a insurance company could say, hey, we're now deciding that that was not medically necessary, and so we're going to take that money back from you. So ultimately, I decided that in order to make this a sustainable career for me and for me to be happy in my career and not be resentful towards my clients, towards myself for making those choices that would later make me resentful, I decided to be a private pay only practice. What was super helpful for me was joining the Abundance Practice Party. And so I have that linked in my PDF guide as well. It's in the resources section as well as kind of scattered throughout in different areas. But the Abundance Practice Party is essentially a subscription to a therapist who is also a private practice building coach. I didn't do any one-on-one sessions with her, but essentially I had access to a bunch of courses. I had access to her private Facebook page, and I really just got a lot of information that helped me in navigating building a private pay practice, building my practice in general, and how to market myself in a way that clients were going to say, yeah, this is worth me spending my money. Not necessarily for my skills, but because of what I can offer relationally. And we'll get to that later. But I would highly recommend the Abundance Practice Building if you're looking for that extra support. I can't speak on some of the higher tier offerings that Allison Prier has. I specifically just did the Abundance Party, which at the time that I did it was $69 a month, and that was money well spent in my opinion. It was a super supportive place. When you are ready to think about the financial aspect of your practice more intentionally, I invite you just to really slow down and notice what you experience internally in your body, emotionally, when you think about your options, and use that as very valuable information to guide you towards how you want to operate. Up next is your private practice paperwork. You are going to need informed consent documentation. You're going to need to write up your practice policies. You're going to need to have stuff about HIPAA, client bill of rights, a good faith estimate. You're going to need to make sure you have all of that stuff ready before you meet with your first client. In my guide to building your therapy private practice, which will be posted in my link tree by the time this video is up, I do have a list of documents that will be important for you to put together and put into your practice policies before you meet with your first client. You can write these documents up yourself. You can also look online to see if there's any templates available that you can pay for. I have linked the private practice startup, which does have some freebies on there, like the good faith estimate and the HIPAA form. And they also have some stuff that you can pay for, and then you just plug in your practice information. It will also be really important to put together a professional will. I know that's not fun to think about, but ultimately we are not exempt from the human experience, and anything can happen at any time. And the professional will is really just going to make sure that everything is going to be in order for your clients if anything ever happens to you. I personally looked online and found the simple practice template of a professional will. I worked with a trusted colleague to complete the professional will information and to be their executor of their professional will, and they're the executor of mine if anything were to ever happen to us. A professional will is just really important to have so that you know your clients are in good hands if anything ever happens to you and they're not left hanging wondering what's going on. Quick disclaimer, make sure you consult with an attorney. I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is just a strong recommendation to have a professional will in place and to consult with an attorney. All right, at this point in building your therapy private practice, we have done most of what we need to do in order to get your business up and running, and now it's time to market. There are so many ways that you can market your practice, but ultimately we need to start with, who are we marketing to? Who are we trying to attract into our business? Now, don't get me wrong, being a generalist therapist is so important, and we absolutely need people who are generalists and can work with a wide variety of people. However, when it comes to building a private practice, especially a private pay practice, you definitely need to niche down and speak to your client. The clients who are going to come to you and look at your marketing need to know that you get them and you understand them and that you have something to offer that other therapists don't. Again, this is where the Abundance Practice Party really helped and supported me as I was figuring out how to build my website and how to market myself. But ultimately, you want to decide, who do I work best with? I know I don't want to work with. Who do I feel excited about working with? When do I feel the most confident? What does my ideal client look like? Where would my ideal client be? Etc. There are so many things that you could consider when really narrowing down who your client is. Once you figured out who your client is and who you're marketing to, you want to build a website. You don't have to, but I'm biased about this. I personally feel like if I'm looking for a provider and they don't have a website, I'm just going to skip over them. So I personally feel like a website is really, really important. A lot of times when clients reach out to me, it's because they said that they really appreciated my website and it really spoke to them. In general, your marketing content should speak to your client and not about yourself. Of course, you want to share a little bit about yourself and of course, your credentials and whatnot, but ultimately you want your website to be a reflection of their experience. Along with that, you want to show clients what working with you is going to look like. My website is a true, authentic reflection of who I am and what they're going to experience when they come into the therapy space with me. I use Squarespace to build and run my website, but there are a lot of other options. One thing I will say is, do not fall for the scams where they send you letters saying hey, you need to pay us $400 in order to keep your website domain. Don't fall for that scam. I get so many letters all the time, and my domain literally costs me $20 a year, I think, through Squarespace. Something you can incorporate into your website is called search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck I was doing when I was attempting to put some SEO into my website. I just did the bare minimum, honestly. I did a little bit of what I learned from some of the courses on the Abundance Practice Party or free resources online. And then I was like, it's fine, I'll market in other ways. You can absolutely pay somebody to do SEO for you. That's not something I ever invested in, but a lot of people do. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You can absolutely use other therapists' websites as inspiration, but don't plagiarize or steal any content or copy from any other therapist. That is their intellectual, emotional, mental labor, and it really sucks when people take it. I've had people steal parts of my Psychology Today content. I've had people steal parts of my website, and it just really sucks because you put so much energy into it and it's something you're really proud of, and then someone just takes it from you. Obvious place to market is therapy directories. So obviously Psychology Today is a big one. There's also Therapy Den, Mental Health Match, Inclusive Therapist, Therapy for Black Girls, Open Path Collective. There's a handful of other ones. I think there are a lot of directories that are coming out. You don't need to be on all of them. Pick one or two and just let your copy speak for itself. So you don't need to be all over the place. You just have to have really good content that's going to attract your clients. Some therapy directories have affiliate links. So for Psychology Today, if you have a friend who can refer you to Psychology Today, you will get 6 months free, and I think they'll get a bonus month. If you want to join Mental Health Match, I do have a referral code for that, and I believe you'll get 1 or 2 free months, and then I get 1 free month if you join through my link. Some of the other therapy directories might have that as well, but I'm not familiar with them. There are a ton of other ways that you can market yourself. There's social media, blogging, networking, business cards, putting on workshops. You can add freebies to your website. You can build a newsletter and send it out to an email list. There are so many ways that you can put yourself out there. You really just have to find what works for you. Along with therapist directories and my website, some other ways that I marketed myself was through networking, social media. I do have business cards, but I don't do too much with that. It's just to give to anybody that I network with. I would say networking has been my least favorite way of marketing just because I'm more introverted and it can be a lot of energy to put myself out there and meet with another therapist when I'm already seeing clients all the time. So I did market a little bit when I was first starting out, but once my practice started to build, that's something I stepped away from. And I've really just put myself into my social media. So posting on TikTok has been my strongest referral source. I really love social media as a marketing strategy because I think it's an amazing way to show potential clients who you are and what you can offer them relationally. So again, just like my website and my therapy directory content, my social media is an authentic reflection of who I am and what clients are going to get when they come into the therapy space with me. And so when clients land on my website, my therapy directory, my social media, they're already building trust and relationship with me because they're already getting a sense of who I am and what I can offer them. Whew. All right. That brings us to the end of my step-by-step guide to building your therapy private practice. I know that was a lot. It is a lot. Probably feels really overwhelming and really far away. Something I talk a lot about with my clients, and also something I think about for myself personally, is letting go of the attachment to the outcome and engaging in the process. Building your private practice is going to bring up a lot of emotions, and it can also be a really exciting time, and it can be a time to get to know yourself better and to honestly lean more into your emotional intimacy with yourself. Because it's going to bring some shit up, and that's okay. I did it. You can do it too. Thank you so much for being here and for following along. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when my videos are posted. It really helps me a lot and supports me as I'm building my YouTube channel. And let me know in the comments if there's anything about this topic, building your private practice, that you want to know more about a little bit more in depth. But ultimately, I hope this was really helpful, and good luck. Bye.